Welcome to the Teaching Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Hi, I'm Nikki, a passionate special educator, autism advocate, resource creator with over a decade of experience, and you may know me as the face behind Teaching Autism. This podcast is your go-to place for practical tips, hands-on strategies, and inspiring and funny stories to support special educators all around the world, whether it's building independence, creating engaging lessons, or finding that elusive work-life balance. I'm here to help you thrive inside and outside of the classroom. Let's dive into today's episode and make a difference together. Hey, and welcome back to the Teaching Autism and Special Education podcast. I'm Nikki, your host, lover of all things visual, structured, and neuro-affirming. And today we are talking about one of the most powerful tools in your SPED teacher toolkit. And that is visual schedules. But not just any visual schedule. We are going to talk today about how to set up one that students will actually understand, use, and benefit from. And instead of it collecting dust on the wall and forgotten 5 minutes after arrival, we're going to talk about why visual schedules work because, hello research, what to do if your student isn't ready for picture symbols, how to choose the right level of support, and how to make your schedule stick in daily routines. Okay, let's go. First, why use a visual schedule? Visual schedules aren't just for organization. They are regulation tools, they are communication tools, and they help to build independence all in one. And research backs this up too. There was a study by Bryan and Gast in 2000 that found that visual schedules increased on-task behavior and reduced transition-related problem behaviors in students with autism. And there are more recent studies as well that have shown that visual schedules improve independence, reduce anxiety, and support smoother transitions. And I'll link to the research in the podcast show notes if you want to do a deeper dive as well. So why? Because visuals are predictable and they reduce the load on your working memory, and they will help your students process what's coming in a non-threatening, concrete way. And they also help to provide this sort of visual anchor to return to when the day may feel overwhelming for them. So in short, visual schedules are safety, they are structure, and they usually are successful. But not every student is ready for 2D symbols. So I want to talk about something super important, and this is often overlooked. And some students just aren't ready for 2D pictures or symbols, and that's okay. So developmentally, understanding a 2D image as a representation of a real object or event is a skill, and some students just aren't there yet. So here's how we scaffold it. So level 1, I want you to start with actual real objects, so items that students can hold and see. So you might use a spoon to represent snack time. You might use a doll diaper to represent toileting time. You might have a mini book there to represent reading time. You might have a sort of Barbie or Ken jacket to represent putting their coats on. You may have a small wooden house to represent home time. So setting these up on a shelf or even a Velcro board, I often just get miniature items and Velcro them onto the same style of schedule, and then let the student interact with the object before and during the transition. So this is especially helpful for students who are pre-symbolic or maybe have some sort of significant learning differences. So then we get to level 2, and once your students are connecting the object with the activity, you can then move to real life photographs of the same objects or routines. So take pictures of their actual classroom, the materials, the spaces, because the more personal and familiar that these photos are, the better. And this will help to bridge the gap between real object and symbolic understanding. Level 3, we're going to make it to picture symbols. Now, I love to use Smarty Symbols, but you can use whatever program that you, your students, and your school are used to. Now, once they show that they understand photo representations, you can introduce more abstract visuals like black and white icons or color symbols. And this is the level that we often jump to first, but not every student is ready for it. So meeting students at the right level of representation is going to be key to making your visual schedule actually usable. So now I'm going to walk through how to set it up step by step and what this could look like in your classroom. So number 1, choose the right format. Consider your students' needs. Are you going to have a horizontal or a vertical layout? Movable pieces or fixed icons? Are you going to have a first then board for some younger students? Are you going to do a full day strip? Are you going to have individual ones? Are you going to have whole class ones? Keep it simple, especially at first, because for some students, 3 steps maximum is ideal to avoid overwhelm. So for me, I always have a horizontal layout and we work left to right because that's the way that we read and the way that we work through books and things like that. We read left to right. And then each of my pieces are movable. So they're all Velcro symbols or images. And then I have a student who is using real life objects. So those are also Velcroed. And what happens throughout the day when we complete one of those tasks, we take it off and we put it into a little pocket or bag at the end of the schedule so students can see it as completed and move on to the next thing. For some of my students, I will also use both. So they have a visual schedule and they have a first and then board. And the way that we do it is we send them over to their visual schedule and they pull off the next 2 symbols. So first and then they complete those, then they put those in their bag, then they get the next 2 symbols. So we're still reinforcing that full day visual schedule, but we're also breaking it down smaller for them. But they're also being able to use that visual schedule as well. So we're working on a few different skills here while also working on their individual skills and ability level as well. So number 2, include all key transitions. So you want your schedule to reflect the student's day and not just these sort of big events. So you want things like arrival, toileting, breakfast, morning meeting, lessons, math, art, snack, break times, lunch times, home time, any special transitions, therapy, fire drills. Because if it matters to them, it belongs on the schedule. Number 3, make it interactive. So let your students move, remove, or check off each step because this is going to build ownership and it adds a sense of completion for your students as well. So you can use Velcro, you can use dry erase markers, pull off tokens, you can even just use physical object bins if that's the level that they're working on. Number 4, use consistent language. So pair the visual with simple, consistent language. First work, then snack. Now toilet, then play. Reading's finished, now it's art. This helps to build receptive language while supporting transitions. So how to make sure that it sticks. So here's how to move from we have a schedule to my students actually use the schedule. So number 1, refer to it all day long. If you don't use it, your students won't either. So refer to it before transitions, when they're dysregulated, during redirections, when they ask what's next. Make it part of the rhythm of the day. Number 2, build it into the routine. Students should be checking the schedule as part of arriving, finishing a task, preparing for a new transition. You want to turn this into a habit, just like grabbing a pencil or lining up. It becomes second nature. 3, individualize and update often. The schedule needs to reflect the actual day. If it changes, update it. If it's no longer motivating, like hello lunch with no visual of chicken nuggets, refresh the visuals. Students will ignore it if it's wrong or irrelevant, so keep it real. Visual schedules aren't just about what comes next. They're about helping our students to feel safe, independent, and confident in a world that often moves just a bit too fast for them, and it communicates without too much talking. So when we start to differentiate and really meet students at the ability and skill level where they are, so think objects, photos, symbols, and use these schedules consistently and intentionally and make it part of their routine instead of this extra, you are going to start to see huge changes in their behavior, in transitions, in independence, in emotional regulation, in communication, because visual schedules work when they are being used with intention, flexibility, and student-centered support. Okay, that's it for today, friends. If you are ready to build or update your visual schedule system, I've got loads of ready to go resources over on my website, my TPT, and I will link all those in the show notes. And if you're starting a schedule for a student who maybe is still working at the real object or photo level, feel free to message me. I've been there and I'd love to help you figure out what's right for your students. All right, until next time, stay flexible, stay visual, and keep being the incredible educator that you are.